Let's begin here. International Relations and Cooperation Minister Dr. Naledi Pandor says South Africa is still waiting to see whether the International Criminal Court will issue a warrant of arrest for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and some members of Hamas.
Now, Pandor has spoken on the sidelines of the Pan-African Parliament intergenerational dialogue in Midrand in Gauteng.
Well, certainly a very critical time here, the Pan-African Parliament. As you know, that this is a very important institution for the African Union. You talk about making sure that there is participation for the Africans on the myriad of issues, whether you're looking at peace and security, economic issues as well. So joining us now is South Africa's International Relations and Cooperation Minister Pandor. Thank you so much indeed once again, Minister. So once again, like you said in your address, Africa will always be a top priority in South Africa's foreign policy, and obviously you're hosting this institution and hoping that it will continue to play a very critical role in advocating for Africa in so many areas.
Well, certainly the Pan-African Parliament is an important part of the African Union's architecture, and we're very proud that South Africa is a host country of the Pan-African Parliament. And I hope we are supporting its move toward becoming a fully authorized legislative institution. At the moment, it really has debates and exercises some oversight. It frames model laws, but doesn't exercise the full oversight authority that a parliament should. And we're hoping when we have elected members directly to the Pan-African Parliament that it would enjoy that status. South Africa, we also host the African Peer Review Mechanism as a host country, and of course AUDA NEPAD, the Development Agency of Africa. So we've been very fortunate to be honored by the continent and given permission to host a number of its institutions.
Minister, focusing on other issues that we face globally, I mean, there are these reports that the International Criminal Court may issue a warrant of arrest against the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and some officials even within Hamas. We know that South Africa has been at the forefront in pushing for the Palestinian cause, and we've seen terrible atrocities. I mean, you talk about the mass graves in some health institutions. It's Al-Shifa, Nasser. Is South Africa monitoring these reports at all?
Well, of course, we are awaiting the conclusions of the promised investigation by the prosecutor of the ICC. We had written to them, we made a referral formally in December last year, and I did meet with them when we went to The Hague to say what is happening, because it's been a number of weeks and now months. So yes, I'm awaiting with bated breath the conclusion of the investigation and the decisions of the International Criminal Court prosecutor.
And I would imagine so, Minister, especially because we saw South Africa going back to the World Court. You know, you look at the very disturbing reports in Rafah where millions of Palestinians have cramped, and also Prime Minister Netanyahu seems to be very determined that military operation will continue, but also seeing a number of atrocities. I mean, so many institutions under siege, some humanitarian aid workers also not spared. I would imagine that also you're keenly waiting for the ICJ to come up with an update in terms of the way forward.
Well, we are waiting for a hearing date from the ICJ. I hope that within the new month of May, we will get such a date so that the merits of the case we have brought to the ICJ, which is essentially our belief that a genocide is underway against Palestinian people as a group. I mean, the world is witnessing the horrors. The world is seeing the cruelty. Israel and its treatment of Palestinian innocent people is now fully revealed to the world. I don't think we even need a case brought by South Africa. Ordinarily, institutions of the United Nations should now be fully investigating all the atrocities and war crimes that we see every day as humanity. And this should be an offense to every citizen of the world.
Minister, what do you make of like the mushrooming of these demonstrations in so many institutions in the US, whether you're talking about Yale, Columbia, these young stars now who are really pushing the US really to see that what's happening, it's a very serious situation. But I mean, we've seen recently where they've approved the military aid to Israel.
Well, I want to say first, I'm so proud of the people of South Africa, of their love for justice and democracy, because they were among the first people to stand up in protest when we saw the atrocities underway in the Gaza Strip, but also in the other parts of the occupied Palestinian territories. So I think South Africa has led in showing the world that you have to speak out, you have to stand up. And now, slowly, the world is coming awake. So I say thank you to our people for what they have done, for showing the people of Palestine they're not a forgotten people, that as South Africans, although we enjoy freedom, we believe freedom and justice are for everyone, not just for ourselves. So it is good that other countries are standing up. But I thank our own people for the resolve that they showed and the solidarity with the people of Palestine.
And just before we let you go, Minister, 29th of May, we know that the special votes, your mission scattered all over the world, you have stated that you're ready. How are the preparations for those South Africans abroad, and what would you say to them just to make sure that, you know, they never forgo this important, fundamental right to vote for whoever they believe in?
Well, we joined the Independent Electoral Commission in calling on all those who have registered to vote abroad to please come forward to the embassies and to exercise their right to vote. The stories that have been put out there by the spokesperson of the Democratic Alliance about diplomatic bags not being properly administered and contracted, this is just really more of this hype to try and create an impression that we won't have a properly administered, free and fair election in South Africa. And it's just an indication of a really inadequacy of fresh ideas. We are ready to provide the necessary support, and the people who have registered to vote must come forward and exercise their right.
All right, Minister, thank you so much indeed for your time. That's International Relations and Cooperation Minister, Dr. Pandor, really talking about a myriad of issues, but also speaking to us on the sidelines of the PAP intergenerational dialogue. So many young people here as well who are keen to hear from so many speakers as well. Kylie Kumala, SABC News, Midrand, Johannesburg.